Our brand new Prime Minister and her exciting new Chancellor are being punished for daring to turn Britain into a low-tax, high-growth economy. Yes, the timings of the announcements might have been tweaked here and there, and I'm not sure that the new government's message machine is quite up and running yet. But with the Tory party conference looming and the spotlight on Liz Truss, it's the perfect opportunity to reiterate her vision for this country. And what a vision she's got.
People were facing fuel bills, energy bills of up to £6,000. We had very high inflation expectations and an economic slowdown. And what we've done is we've taken decisive action. First of all, to make sure that nobody is paying more than a typical fuel bill of £2,500. That will come in this Saturday. But also to reduce our tax burden, to make sure we grow the economy and also curb inflation. And that's so important. It's a difficult time. We're facing a global economic crisis brought about by Putin's war in Ukraine. And what was right is that Britain took decisive action to help people get through what is going to be a difficult winter.
Trust me, Liz, I've got your back. I'll take Truss's plans over the vague, expensive shopping list of ideas we heard from Keir Starmer on Tuesday. Now, I'm well aware that last week's mini-budget was about as well received as Holly and Phil at a queuing convention. But I see the fallout as a failure of communication, not policy. The higher rate of tax being scrapped sends out a message of aspiration, not just to hard-working Brits, but wealthy individuals from around the world who will know their money is safe here. I want their cash, don't you? As more people go into the higher tax band without fear of being clobbered by HMRC, it's just possible that scrapping it will cost nothing or could even bring in more revenue. That's certainly the view of top former government minister Anne Widdecombe, who told me as much on last night's show.
Huge benefit from it, because if the tax take from that bracket goes up, as it has on each occasion in the past, when we've reduced the top rate, then more money is going into the Treasury. So it isn't even cost neutral. It's an actual benefit. I can't understand why people don't see this when the historical evidence is so clear.
Lower taxes, raising Treasury income. Who knew? Mamma mia. It also makes sense to reverse the hike in national insurance, as that is a tax on jobs and on the poorest in our society. And are you telling me that making life easier for businesses by delivering a cut to corporation tax won't boost the economy so they can hire, invest and pay their workers more? It's exactly the lift for businesses that I believe will pay dividends and far in advance of the next election. The decision not to clear the numbers with the Office for Budget Responsibility is another reason why this storm has worsened, but due diligence is on its way. It's clear that the government must lay out a plan for how all of this is going to be paid for, and they will. But be clear, the media have overreacted because ever since COVID, and as we've seen with climate change, doomsday scenarios have become the norm, and fear sells. And let's be honest, most of the media want Truss to fail. Take a listen to this horrible compilation of gotcha journalism.
Carrie in Birchington says, "What on earth were you thinking? The country was already in a state of recession." Another says, "How can we ever trust the Conservatives with our economy again?" And Lydia says, "Are you ashamed of what you've done? Are you?"
A couple of people have said to me here in Nottingham, this is like a reverse Robin Hood.
We've also taken action to reduce our tax burden and spur...
Yeah, but Prime Minister, with respect, that
so
is the same scripted answer you've given to every BBC local radio station this morning. You've got the Bank of England stepping in now to try and clean up a mess a government has caused. That has never happened.
Since Friday, since your Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng's mini-budget, the pound has dropped to a record low. The IMF has said that you should re-evaluate your policies, and the Bank of England has had to spend £65 billion to prop up the markets because of what they describe as a material risk. Where have you been?
We've got loads of questions from listeners to get through, so we're going to get straight to it if that's OK with you. Have you taken the keys to the country and crashed the economy?
Luckily, those interviews were on BBC local radio, so no one will have heard them. It's my view that the markets have overreacted too, given that the fundamentals of the British economy are so sound. the lowest unemployment for over 4 decades, the second lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7. And although things may feel a bit bumpy at the moment, we do have political stability, with the government having 2 years to run and an effective working majority of 71. It will be a rush, but they've got time to make this plan work. Plus, it may have escaped the attention of those in the media who take such pleasure in talking Britain down that energy prices are tumbling as a result of a global push to find alternative energy sources to Russia. It means that the potential cost of subsidising our energy bills, which was once feared to be over £100 billion, could well be a fraction of that. With falling energy prices and countries like America technically entering recession and Germany headed that way, this will push inflation down further. Yes, interest rates will go up. The dozy governor of the Bank of England should have acted years ago. But talk of 6 or 7% next year is, in my view, wide of the mark. Those obsessed with bashing Britain will be furious to see the latest financial news. Take a look at this. Sterling has roared back to life, recovering massively, and a pound will now buy you $1.11. That trip to New York this Christmas is back on. But why let the facts get in the way of a good story? Yes, Liz Truss and her Chancellor have had a tricky start, to say the least, and people are rightly worried about skyrocketing household bills and mortgage repayments. But I believe that these are short-term headwinds in relation to a potentially great and undoubtedly misunderstood budget. And with these headwinds, we are not alone. The European Systemic Risk Board have issued a warning about risks to EU financial stability and called for resilience in the financial sector to be preserved or enhanced. This as Germany hits 10% inflation and faces a winter energy crisis. Plus, the European Central Bank have said interventions will be required in the Eurozone. I'm so confused. I thought it was Britain that was in trouble. In the long run, this will be a good news story. For the first time in decades, we've got a government serious about rebooting the economy, serious about change. Liz Truss is not the captain of a sinking ship. Far from it. Just one ploughing through choppy economic waters. The map is clear, the route is set, and our course is charted. A few people are getting queasy, absolutely, but still waters await. Full steam ahead. Britain is far from sunk.